Well, my work in the Senate really is an extension of my ministry. I often say that I'm not a senator who used to be a pastor. I'm a pastor who serves in the Senate. In fact, I still return to my pulpit, Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Dr. King served in Atlanta. I preach every Sunday from my pulpit. I made a decision even as I entered into the waters of politics that I didn't want to spend all my time talking only to politicians. I'm afraid I might accidentally become one. What I really endeavor to do is to be a servant. And whether I'm preaching in my pulpit or giving a speech on the Senate floor, same values, same sermon. Again, I have worked for healthcare and issues around justice and equity in our healthcare space for years. I led the fight to try to get Georgia to expand Medicaid, which it still hasn't done, leaving 600,000 Georgians sadly in the healthcare coverage gap. My work on insulin really emerges from what I saw and I see firsthand as a pastor. Diabetes is one of our leading chronic illnesses, and it's connected to so many illnesses. As a pastor, I've stood at countless bedsides. I've been in the waiting rooms of families as they've heard that their loved one has to have an amputation as a complication of the diabetes or has to go on dialysis. I've seen the blindness that happens, leading cause of blindness. And so when you have diabetes, it has to be managed. If you need insulin, you need insulin. Sadly, insulin is unaffordable for many in our country. Here's a drug that was invented 100 years ago. The patent was sold for $1, but pharmaceutical companies have been engaged in price gouging. So we began this work. I think it's clearly catching momentum. It was my bill that was rolled into the Inflation Reduction Act last summer, which capped the cost of insulin. Beginning January 1st of this year, we started capping the cost of insulin for folks on Medicare to no more than $35 of out-of-pocket cost per month. I think we need to extend that same provision to people with insurance and people with no insurance at all. And that's what my newest bill is all about, which I introduced a few weeks ago with a Republican colleague, John Kennedy of Louisiana, a state where 15% of the adults have diabetes. And so this is the work that we're focused on getting done, and we want to get it across the finish line as soon as possible. Well, people are literally rationing insulin. I think of a young lady that I met named Lacey McGee. She was my guest at the State of the Union address earlier this year. When she came to Atlanta to become a college student, there was a time when she was struggling with and didn't have the resources she needed. She was literally online, on Facebook, scheduling meetups with strangers in parking lots in order to get insulin. There are people literally rationing their insulin in the United States. So we were able to, thankfully, to cap the cost for folks on Medicare, but this shouldn't be expensive for anybody. And so this bipartisan bill, which I'm hoping to get over the finish line, maybe as part of a larger healthcare package that's being worked on right now in the Senate, will help us get the cost of insulin under control for people with insurance, people with no insurance at all.